Welcome back to my channel, you all. It is Michelle with Michelle's Manifesto, and I'm here with my beautiful husband, Rob, and we're just going to further discuss a little bit of what it's like to be married to a Samoan atheist. Ta-da, ta-da. So the last thing that we left off at was Rob was trying to explain how he doesn't want to push his views off on anyone, but he's open for discussion, and that's where we left off.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not gonna go tell everybody, unless they ask me to go to church or something. I try to be polite, I try to be nice, but it's not that I'm mad at God or anything. It's, I don't believe He's around. But no, you know, when you talk about the stories in the Bible and verses in the Bible, like in I think 2 Kings or something, where a guy was being teased by kids, 42 kids, children, and he asked God for, well, his prayer got answered. And his prayer got answered by God sending 2 bears to kill all 42 of them for making fun of a guy with a bald head. Like, what the hell?
There's nothing I can say, because I never learned that one in Sunday school.
I mean, what the?
I never learned any of that in Sunday school. Did you guys? I just learned that Jesus loved me and all the little children, red and yellow, black and white.
Or like slavery, Exodus 21 explicitly tells you how to own a slave, how to, between a Hebrew slave and any other kind of slave. And you can pass it down to your family, to your kids. And
hold on, I'm just checking something.
Leviticus.
I'm multitasking.
I'm just like, and then some people say, well, that was back in the time. That was that time period. Like, God didn't know that? That's what they like to say. It's like, well, it was during that time. So if it was okay with God at that time, and there's nothing in the Bible that says that condemns it.
And that's what all my friends say when I bring up these particular Bible verses.
Yeah, they're never changing God.
They say, well, you have to, it's out of context. That's the first thing they say.
Context.
Or they say, you have to remember it was a different time. And it was because of the first sin that none of us had any particular response in. Or,
let's talk about the original sin.
Or it's just misinterpretation. How do you misinterpret tricking a slave, or misinterpret deciding with ladies which baby you're going to eat today, mine today, yours tomorrow? Like, how do you misinterpret that? Like, how do you misinterpret any level of cannibalism? Like, on any level, right? But it's just okay because Jesus and God did that, or excuse me, God, because Jesus is the New Testament. And
meanwhile, going back to the original sin.
So, the original sin.
Where, and this is just reading of the script. Read Genesis, where God, the serpent told Eve to do exactly, and it's what's going to happen after if you do it. And it happened. Whereas what God told him was going to happen never happened. So, and this is God, the creator of everything, did not foresee this. I don't understand it. I don't understand how you guys how religious people can claim that God knows everything. God is thought crime on people just for thinking stuff, and yet He didn't see that coming. And this is the serpent, which is the serpent,
Oh my
supposed
God,
to be
I'm
the
glad he brought that up.
supposed to be the devil,
The liar.
the liar.
Turns out.
And this guy supposedly
Sorry, just
in heaven, when before he came down to earth, before Satan came down to earth, knew that God exists. God is the most powerful, and yet he was able to use his free will to say, you know what, screw you, I ain't gonna worship you, I'll just go according to their story. I'm just like, wow.
Sorry, I'm just multitasking on the side.
No, I'm fine. It's just how they use the original sin as like you're born as a fallen person. You need to be saved. And yet, there's kids born with cancer, missing limbs, and yet they just, hey, God had nothing to do with all that. That's crazy. It's just a little things like to think about that, just like, what the hell? Just follow, come on, jump on board and ride with the flow. Those are just some of the things I started thinking about.
The thing is with the serpent, right? Like, none of us ever like really listened to that, right? Because we just thought the snake was bad. But the truth is, the snake is the only one that told the truth. Because they said, if you eat of this apple, you will die. You will surely die. And she lived to be over 900 years old. Like, I'm just so confused. And then everyone has a problem with the serpent. And he actually told the truth.
Well, it's not just that. You will surely die. And yet, according to the Bible, everybody's alive from Adam and Eve. Every human came from Adam and Eve. Passed down to Noah. And so, in reality, they haven't died at all. They're still, their DNA is still going. But anyway, what was the other? I don't want to get into the Jesus part yet, but I just want to stick on the. Oh, anyway, about talking with like Mariology. They actually, like wow, this Catholic Church, man. They managed to have people get up and down, kneeling down, get up, kneel, without them questioning, hey, why are we doing this for? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because even now, I'm still trying to figure out why we have to kneel. Is it just to feel the pain, or?
I never understood that.
No, it's crazy now that I see that. I look from the outside and I'm like, wow. They look just like trained people to get up, get down there.
So he's talking about like the whole rising and kneeling and all the different prayers that are associated with the Catholic Church. Me, for one, at first I was impressed. I was like, what kind of church is this? Because the churches I went to, we just had like potlucks and stuff. It wasn't all of this ritualistic type ceremonies, right? Like you just met up, you sang songs, you know, and I would go to different churches, Methodist, Baptist, Assembly of God, where they spoke in tongues. But at the Catholic Church, it was way different. Like there were certain prayers at certain times, and I never really understood why I have to tell the priest my issues if I can speak directly to God. Like, but I thought, you know what? I was told, I think my mother-in-law said that we needed to have our church blessed in the Catholic religion or the church because it's just not really recognized in the courthouse. So, of course, Rob and I, we jumped right on that, and and I always thought it was like this cool club. To be quite honest, like I did used to hold like the rosary like sessions or whatever, and half the time I would get it wrong because I was counting beads. But anyways, it was a lot of stress, extra stress, instead of just going to church and you know, just like listening to whatever that particular preacher, all dressed up in his suits and his gold dripping light, telling us what his interpretation was. So, you know, and it's not to bash religion. It's just, you don't know what you don't know.
I mean, there's just in Christianity alone, there's hundreds and hundreds of different denominations. And those people, the Jehovah's Witness got their own version of God. The Mormons got their own version of God. The Baptists, the Catholics, the Lutherans, the Episcopalian, what do you call that? Episcotarians, Lutherans, and
There's just so many.
but that's what I'm saying. You can sit 10.
And why does there have to be so many? Right? Like, if it's so right, why are there so many more spin-offs?
Why is God so confusing?
Why is it Jehovah Witnesses? Why is it Mormons? Like, why is it there has to be more spins?
The question is,
Well, it's
how
about
did
money.
no? The question is, how did the Mormon God decide their God was better than the Catholic God,
Yeah,
or
like,
the Muslim God, or the Judaism God, the Hinduism gods?
yeah, and to be honest
How did
with
they?
you,
How did they determine that their God was the right one? Because those people that believe in those gods over there, they believe the same thing that he believed.
we all
So
believe.
how do you tell the difference? Who's the right God? And guess what? Justin, there's no verified of any Moses being alive, of any Exodus from Egypt. Just in the Old Testament, of a flood, the Tower of Babel. None of that stuff. There is not one recorded evidence of any of that. And then it flows into the New Testament, where, I hate to say it, there is not one verified evidence for Jesus. The only thing they can come close to is that there was somebody named Jesus that was alive back in the day. But as far as all the miracles, all of that, those are just claims in the Bible. And guess what? Even the Bible doesn't even have any originals. And just found out that the scriptures were not even, the Dead Sea Scroll was just to verify the Old Testament.
Right, but some of those in the
But that's
museum
just to
were found
verify
be,
the Old Testament was written, or whatever. Some of the evangelists, some crap like that.
Some of the Dead Sea Scrolls were found to be invalid because of something with the ink, with whatever their investigation.
The Dead Sea Scrolls doesn't prove anything. It just saying.
But the point is, with all the sum total of the information you have, right? Because many of you, especially you younger ones, I know you've sat in a biology class, and I know that at least I've been told by my biology professor, leave your religion at the door, because there is no time for it in this classroom. Because they teach you.
That's how they teach. They teach you.
You know? And if you Google where the first humans come from, just Google it, it's going to say Africa. It's going to say that we originated from Africa. Like, what I'm trying to say to you is that Bible, it's not an option in Google, right? And the other thing is, if you have seen in the previous video that we made in Bali about the Hindu ceremony, like he was saying, everyone feels like their religion is the only religion, and that religion is the true and correct religion. But that religion is so much older, and to be honest with you, there's not a whole lot of wrong that I saw in any of it other than their overuse of incense. But as far as respect for the land and, you know, from their fellow human beings, like, it doesn't get much better than Bali or even Thais, you know, or even a lot of these Asian countries. I mean, they're just calmer. Well, let me speak, because Vietnam, there are a lot of Buddhists, don't get me wrong, but it's a little louder there. It's kind of like when we're in Europe, not to get off topic, but we're learning different cultures, different dialect, tone. And so, but with Bali and Thai, like, they're mostly Buddhist. Yes, there's Muslim, there's all Christianity, there's other things mixed in, but primarily these are Buddhist countries. Bali is, or Bali's Hindu. There's some Buddhist, and then other islands are Muslim. But here in Thailand, for the most part, it is Buddhist. And there's nothing wrong with what they're doing. Meditating, chilling. If something bad happens, they think that they deserved it, or it was just part of the karmic cycle. Well, I don't even know why Buddhism is even considered a religion, to be honest. It should be more.
Why do you think religion?
I think religion is bad because it poisons. It depends on what religion it is. Now, it poisons. I mean, all this incense is poisoning, but like, I have OCD, so of course I'm going to say that. But what's so poisoning is that the Bible, in and of itself, will make certain people, like gay people, like of color people, feel less than. And it talks about so many other things that are just horrible, that really don't even make sense. Like, who cares what kind of fabric we wear? Who cares like who we sleep with? Like, shouldn't it just be safe and be happy? I mean, we shouldn't be doing things against our will, but be safe and be happy. So religion does affect a lot of things. There's some good things like music, but for the most part, there's so many people in this world that need help, and these churches are raking in all this money and still need more and pay no taxes. And who is being helped? There's still exponentially so many people on the streets. Who's really being helped? I don't get it. How do you feel about religion? Do you think religion is a good thing?
No, it brings a lot of good to people. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that aspect of religion, where it helps people with feeling good about themselves, as long as they believe that, I'm just more interested in the truth. And I don't want to waste my Sundays. I don't want to waste any time dedicated to praying to something that's not even there, where I can spend my time spending on things that I believe. But as far as religion, the only part that I don't like about religion is when the people in those religious beliefs try to put those religious beliefs into legislation, like trying to run a country because they prayed the night before and God told them this and that, or they think that God said this and God said that, and the abortion, trying to use that pro-life, using abortion as and trying to put their religious belief in there when that should be just a women's autonomy, that it's up to them to decide. And they put limitations on when they can have an abortion and the different circumstances where they can allow an abortion. There's nothing wrong with that, even though they still managed to put it in there to where they can control what a woman can do or not with their own body. Imagine that. Jeez.
That is sad, and it's especially sad. I mean, maybe in a woman,
That's the
but
same
also
as,
a nurse.
That's the same as the
My patient can't even make their own choice.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, when they use that to run a country or to say, hey, with all these prayers that we're gonna do, I'm like, no. Keep that praying to yourself. Keep that belief to yourself.
You don't have to post it in schools.
Yeah.
Give the free lunches. Give the free breakfast.
I mean, they care so much about the infant, the fetus. But once that fetus is born, they don't give a shit. There's so many kids starving and starvation and orphanages, but yet they care so much to make laws to make sure somebody carries a baby, but they don't care about giving them free lunches at school and shit like that.
Or school supplies.
Oh no, that's up to them. That's up to them now. They decided to have the baby.
Or after school programs, like, it's just.
Anyway, I mean that's a whole different.
How do you feel being a Samoan and being an atheist? Because this is not common in your culture.
Yeah, I'm not the only Samoan I know of that don't believe in God, but I mean, you can't.
Really?
Because the sad thing about it, if I go to Samoa and people find out that I don't believe in God, it's like, oh my God, he needs to be prayed on. He needs to.
Right.